When we talk about lust, right, some people have this view that lust is somehow going to be quenched one day, right? Like the thirst of lust is going to be quenched. The reality is that you can never actually quench the thirst of lust. Like the more you feed into lust and the more you give into the desires of lust, the desires of the flesh, if you want to use that terminology, the stronger lust gets, right? I remember when I was younger and I had like, I don't know if I want to call it an addiction to sex and to porn and that sort of stuff, but I was like hypersexual, right? Like I was just always wanted to fucking have sex, always wanted to watch porn, always wanted to be sexual and just engage in lustful things. Now, what I realized through experience and through fucking up realistically was the more I gave into the temptations of lust, the stronger lust became within me, right? Like if we look at lust as like an individual entity and like a thing in its own right, like, you know, lust as a entity itself, you start to understand it a little bit deeper. And what I learned through my experience was the more that I gave into the temptations of lust and the more that I actually did the things that my lust wanted me to do, the stronger lust became, and the stronger that this part of me had control over the other parts, right? I remember vividly, like, calling my mate. I was on the phone to my mate and I was like, oh yeah, man, you know, I got with this chick last night and, you know, I'm also talking to this chick and this. And I remember him saying to me something which was just a complete wake-up call to me. And he said, bro, he's like, why the fuck are you so, like, enslaved in lust? And I was like, enslaved in lust? What are you talking about, bro? I was like, I have complete control over this shit. I do this because I want to do it. And he literally said to me, he's like, I don't think that's the case, man. He goes, I think it has more control over you than you have control over it. And that started to make me view lust a little bit differently. It really planted the seed for me to understand like, hey, maybe I don't have control over this thing and maybe it actually has control over me. And just from that one little comment he made, it planted the seed and it started the process in me viewing lust a lot differently. I'm not going to sit here and say that I overcame lust straight away after that comment. It's not the case at all. I still engaged in lustful shit for a fucking fair while. But it definitely started to make me think. And there was moments where I was like, hey, maybe I'm not in complete control over this. And maybe this is something that more so has control over me. And then I remember speaking to a woman and, you know, I was telling her some things that I was doing. I don't know why the fuck I was doing that. But anyway, it was literally to brag. Like I remember I used to tell people these things to brag because I felt like a sense of accomplishment, I guess, from the lustful shit that I did. And I was telling her this shit and I didn't get the response that I thought I would get. Like, you know, I thought I would get the response that I would get from my male mates, and that response would be like, oh, fuck yeah, Ricky, you're the man, what a weapon. You know, all that stupid egoic shit that sort of like men tend to egg other men on when it comes to lustful things like sleeping with chicks and whatever. But this chick literally replied to me and she said something along the lines of like ill or gross or that's disgusting. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, why am I being shamed here? I literally, like, up until that point had never really experienced that much of a negative reaction towards me talking about the lustful things that I was doing. And she was like, yeah, ill, disgusting, gross. And I was like, why is that gross? And she said something along the lines of, it's gross to me when a man can't control his sexual energy and it controls him. And then I sort of like linked what she said with my mate who said that a few months back. And I was like, you're like the second person who said that. I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I have complete control over this. And she's like, I don't think you do. And I was like, I literally do. And she's like, I don't think you do. And I was like, fuck. You know, I felt like, I felt pissed off at her initially. But looking back in retrospect, I realized that she was a key part in me actually breaking free from the control of lust. Because my view on lust was I was in complete control of it, not that it was in complete control of me. And then I had a few people mention that statement, obviously, like mentioning that, hey, you know, you're being controlled by this, you're enslaved in lust, XYZ. And I was like, oh shit, I started to view lust differently. And I started to view lust as something that wasn't a thing that I had complete control over, but rather I was being controlled by this energy, right? Like an entity in its own right. Obviously not in the sense of like it's some mystical external being which is telling me to do things, but like in the sense of it's an energy within me. It's like a temptation of the flesh, and I was being controlled by that thing. You know, I would feel the urge of lust come up, I would feel aroused or whatever you want to refer to it as, and straight away I would either watch porn, or I would call some chick up, or I would tee something up. You know, it would literally be like urge or desire and then fulfillment. Boom, boom. There was no questioning it. There was no like, you know, denying it. It was just like, yep, I feel this way. I'm going to fulfill that urge. I'm going to fulfill that desire, and I'm going to engage in something lustful like sex or porn, whatever. And the more I done this, and the more I sort of started to listen to what these people had said, you know, like they'd planted the seed in my mind, the more that I started to think about that, the more I was like, fuck man, I think they're onto something here. Like I genuinely think that I don't have control over this thing as much as I thought I did. And that was a real turning moment for me. I was like, okay, well, if I am in control of lust, because naturally I rejected the opinions of these people, and I just thought, that's not true. I'm in complete control, and I wanted to prove it to myself, right? And I remember literally saying to myself like, oh fuck, you know, I can just not engage in this shit if I want to. And then I tried, right? I initially started with porn. I was just like, I'll just stop watching porn, stop doing that sort of stuff. And to my surprise, it was a lot harder than I thought. I thought, okay, I'll just stop watching porn. You know, it's just a thing I do. I'm in complete control over. I'll just stop watching it. And when I tried to stop watching it, it was much harder than I thought it would be. Like it was literally an ingrained habitual pattern, and it was stronger than I thought, much stronger than I thought. Like quitting was an actual hard process. Like I'm not even going to sit here and lie and pretend like I fucking smashed it and I just aced over it. No, it was an actual journey, and it was pretty fucking hard to overcome. But in the continuous effort to overcome it, and my obsession with learning and patterns and habits and addictions and all these sorts of things, which like it's just a major topic that I'm genuinely obsessed about learning. Through that process, I am grateful enough to have overcome it, and I feel immensely blessed to have gone through that process. And I'm actually grateful that it wasn't an easy process. It was just like, yep, I want to overcome this, boom, overcome it. I'm grateful for the process, the actual struggle of it, because it was in that struggle that I learned so much about myself, so much about the nature of addiction, so much about the control that lust can actually have over us. And yeah, it was just an awesome process. Now, one thing I do want to mention is the fact that I demonized lust, okay? And this is a mistake that I made that I don't want you guys to make. So when I was in this process of overcoming lust, I actually demonized it. Like I suppressed it within myself. I saw it as a really bad thing. And I think that's a mistake that a few people make. It has good intent, obviously, like you're trying to overcome it, but suppressing it and demonizing it isn't the way to overcome it. All that does is create internal rebellion. I would literally like not even acknowledge the lust, you know, like I would get aroused or something, or I would feel the lust within my body, and I would like literally pretend it's not there. And, you know, all that's going to do is, as I said, create internal rebellion. It's going to suppress that lust, which is like energy. And then that energy is going to get stronger and stronger and stronger, because what you resist persists, and what you accept, you go beyond. So my relationship towards lust at the start, when I was first trying to overcome it, it was very unhealthy. It was just like, this is a bad thing. I don't want this to control me anymore. I'm going to pretend it's not there. And in doing so, I suppressed it, and I pushed it down, and I demonized it, and I created internal rebellion. And even deeper than that, I created shame around my own sexuality. And that was a whole other kettle of fish that I had to work through. You know, I had to teach myself to relate to my sexuality in a healthy way, to my lust in a healthy way, more particularly, because I had literally trained myself to demonize and shame the lust. I was like, lust is a bad thing. When I feel that, it's not good, X, Y, Z. So I literally trained my body and mind to demonize lust and to see it as such a bad thing. In the long term, that was a mistake. That's why I'm mentioning it here. I want you guys to avoid that mistake. Your lust and your sexual energy isn't a bad thing at all. It's a very healthy and normal thing. It's just your relationship towards it. You want to cultivate a relationship where you have control over it in comparison to it having control over you. I'll say it again, your lust in and of itself is not a bad thing. It actually is a really healthy and normal thing, but when it has complete control over you in comparison to you having control over it, that's when it can become something that I believe you should work on, gaining more control over it. Not suppressing it, not neglecting it, not pretending it's not there, not demonizing it, not any of the mistakes that I made, but literally just improving your relationship towards it and gaining more control over it. Now, lust, when you're in the midst of lust, this is what I realized, particularly in people around me. I've got some people around me right now which are really like enslaved in lust. Like they are at the point that I was at when I didn't realize it. And I can see it now, obviously, because I've been in that position. But when you're in the midst of lust and when you're like enslaved by it, using that terminology, you don't notice it. You really do believe that you're in control of it. Like it's like a, it's hard to see. It's hard to see when you're in it. You are under its spell, it's controlling you, it's almost using you as like a puppet, yet you believe you're the one making the conscious decision to engage in the things you're engaging in. I know that's how it feels. I know it's very, very like convincing to tell yourself that you are in complete control. And to that, I would say, just try to abstain from the lustful behaviors for a little bit. And in that process, you'll learn how much control you actually have. As I said, I didn't realize how in control I was to lust when I tried to stay away from the behaviors that lust was encouraging in me. And it was only when I tried to like abstain from the stuff a little bit where I realized, oh shit, like this thing has a tight grip on me, right? Like it had me in a chokehold and I didn't even realize it. I thought I was doing all this stuff by conscious will. And so yeah, if you're the sort of person right now who you feel like, you know, you're engaging in a lot of lustful stuff, you probably believe that it's by your conscious will and by your conscious decision. To that, I would challenge you to actually try and abstain from the behaviors for a little bit. It doesn't have to be forever, but just set yourself a bit of a challenge. And in that challenge, you will expose the degree of control that lust has over you or you have over your lust. I mentioned in one of my previous videos a few months ago, I did 100 days of semen retention, no ejaculation at all. The reason I did that was a few reasons, but one of the reasons was to gauge how much control I had over my lust. And I'm grateful to say that these days I have a significant amount of control over my lust. Like, you know, I literally went 100 days without ejaculating. I even had sex in that period and I still abstained from ejaculation because I wanted to test my control over my lust. And the old me, like a couple years back, would not be able to do that wholeheartedly. Like I used to literally hold this belief in my mind that I have to ejaculate every, I don't know, I think it was honestly, the belief was like every day or every few days, right? And a lot of men hold that belief. They literally think they have to come every few days, every week or whatever it is, right? Otherwise, I'll get blue balls or whatever the fuck else they tell themselves. I am a living example that you wholeheartedly don't need to fucking ejaculate every day or every few days or whatever. You can go significant periods of time without ejaculating and nothing bad happens, right? Nothing bad happened to me. If anything, I experienced a significant amount of benefits, right? The whole semen retention thing, and call it whatever you want, semen retention, nofap, whatever, it has significant benefits, particularly in relation to your self-respect, because you realize you have control over one of the strongest desires in the human body, which is your sexual urges. I wholeheartedly believe that if you can control your sexual urges, you can control any other element of your existence, right? Like, how is it hard for me to control what I put in my mouth, what I eat, if I, you know, have the ability to control my literal ejaculation? That's just my mentality, like crossing over the, you can call it a skill set, or crossing over the self-control more specifically that I have with the sexual energy when I relate to anything else, it seems like child's play to me. It's so easy. It's like, yeah, of course I can stop myself from eating that burger. Of course I can make myself go to the gym, maybe when I don't feel like it. Of course I can adhere to a strict, schedule, or adhere to this discipline that I said I was going to do because I've done this, right? Like, I created a past reference now in my mind of extremely high standards in relation to my sexual energy, my self-control over my sexual energy. So just tying this back into the main topic of the video, lust is an entity in its own right. It more than likely has control over you, and you don't have that much control over it. I can't just call people out like this. Like, I don't know everyone's individual situation, but just generally speaking, lust usually controls the individual more than the individual controls the lust. And if you don't believe that's you, and if you believe that you have more control over the lust than it has over you, I encourage you to challenge yourself and just try not to engage in anything related to lust or sex or porn or anything like that for 30 days, right? No sex, no porn, no ejaculation, no masturbation, nothing for 30 days. Just see how you go, and you will see the degree of control that it has over you. Maybe it's nothing, cool. Maybe you have complete control over that. I genuinely hope that's the case for you. But maybe lust has you in a chokehold like it had me in a chokehold. And if that's the case, then you can start working on ways to gain more control over it so it doesn't have that much control over you. And I do want to preface here and just like really hammer home the point that your lust is not a bad thing. Like, lustful energy and sexual energy in and of itself, as I said, is very healthy. It's very normal. Don't get caught in the trap of demonizing it. Don't get caught in the trap of thinking it's this super bad thing. It's not. All you're going to do is cause yourself sexual shame and take yourself down the rabbit hole that I went down. I want you guys to avoid that. You overcome lust by understanding that it's just an energy within the body. It's an energy, and you can learn to feel into that energy, tap into that energy, and really like disperse that energy throughout your body. This might sound woohoo for some people who haven't done this sort of work, like tapped into their inner world, but it's not that woohoo, to be honest. It's just like lust is an energy within the body, and you allow yourself to feel that energy and tap into it, and very much so disperse it throughout the body. And you use that energy, that lust or that sexual energy, or in some Eastern traditions it's referred to as life force or chi or whatever you want to call it. You use that to power your being, to power who you are as an individual, and to transmute that sexual energy into creative energy, because sexual energy and creative energy are one of the same thing. So if you can use that sexual energy and put it into your creative outputs and direct it into your business, into your health and fitness, into your relationship, into just your life, like the progress of your life, you will be amazed at how positive your relationship becomes towards lust. Okay, like to this day, I do not hate my lust. I don't demonize my lust. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I love my lust and my sexual energy. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful part of me. It's a beautiful element of my existence, of my being. It's something that I can use and disperse throughout my entire body to drive me in life and to tap into creative powers that I would not have otherwise had if I had just wasted this sexual energy and been a slave to it. Okay, so guys, I hope you got something from this video. I hope you got just some degree of value. I challenge you to genuinely see how much control you have over your lust and just gauge it. You could be in complete control over it, a complete sexual fucking master, or you could be an absolute slave to lust, and lust could be playing you like a fucking puppet, but you won't know until you actually challenge yourself with a period of abstinence. And this doesn't just go for lust, this goes for anything, honestly. Like anything you think you might have some degree of like compulsive behavior towards or addiction towards, I encourage you to engage in a period of abstinence, and that'll reveal to you the degree of your addiction and the degree in which you have control over that thing, or if it has control over you. Thank you guys. Subscribe for more if you like it, like the video, share it with your friends, do all that good stuff. And if you want to work with me in a one-on-one setting, feel free to reach out to me on my Instagram. My Instagram is Ricky Gauci, RICKY space GAUCI. And we can work on all sorts of stuff. I do a really good type of work with people where I help them overcome patterns and habits and things that are holding them back from greater success in health, wealth, relationships, and just in general life. So if you feel like you would benefit from working with me and you feel aligned with me and you feel like I might be aligned with you, feel free to reach out. We can jump on a phone call and go from there. And if you are a man and you are interested in working with me in a different way, I also have a men's self-development community called the Self-Mastery Society. Basically a community all for men who are growth-minded and just genuinely want to become the best version of themselves. If that's you and you feel aligned with that, same thing, reach out to me on Insta. Just message me the word SMS or just start a convo and we can go from there. Thanks guys, have a good day or night, and I'll see you on the next one.